God, that felt personal, didn't it? Wasn't meant to be. This is Hard Parking, brought to you by Right Hunter and Right Toyota out of Scottsdale, Arizona. I'm your host, Jhae Pfenning, recording from my home studio here in Gilbert, Arizona. A lot of stuff to get to. I just got back from, well, I guess technically I just got back from Costa Rica. I will be recapping that vacation on the next episode. I know some of you love that. Some of you probably don't like it as much, but I am going to cover a lot of the experiences that we did. Obviously, the rental car that we had, a Jimny. Started off hating the car, ended up loving the car. A lot of stuff there to talk about. But thoughts and prayers to everybody in Puerto Vallarta right now. There is a major conflict brewing as I record this on Sunday, February 22nd. Why am I bringing that up? Well, Yvette and I went there for vacation last year with our good friends, Alex and Jen, who go there once, twice every year. And my other friend is there right now, Chuck Ferguson, a Tucson NSX owner. I've known Chuck for a very long time. He was actually very instrumental in my VF1S NSX project because he was the retired Air Force pilot who let me check out his Aces 2 ejection seat. I went down there and spent a couple hours with him, learned everything there was about the ejection seat, and have been friends with him ever since. He did post on social media this morning that they are hunkered down and everything is good right now. They're kind of a little further away from the drama, but thinks they'll be stuck there probably most of the week, not trying to overhype the situation or undersell the situation. What do we know? Not a lot. There are some independent reporters on the ground. Again, I watched this stuff on X, which is a battleground of crazy stuff, some misinformation, some real information. You just have to do your due diligence and trust that what you're looking at is the correct thing. For instance, one person reports that the U.S. was involved, and many other reports, including Grok, says the U.S. was not involved, at least not directly, but a lot of chaos, a lot of videos, but thoughts and prayers to those people. Hopefully this all clears up in the next few days, and by the time you get around to watching this video and or listening to this podcast, it is much to do about nothing. Some car news, some non-car news, and a one less car show and food drive recap after this word from Arcus Foundry. If you run a business and you're tired of juggling tools, chasing logins, and constantly feeling like the tech side of things is heavier than it should be, this might hit close to home. That tech fatigue usually shows up as an outdated website, reviews slipping through the cracks, missed calls when you're busy, or social media that's always on the back burner. Most business owners know something's off, but fixing it feels like a bigger project than they have time for. SparkForge exists to take that weight off. It handles the tech behind the scenes, helps clean up how your business shows up online, makes sure calls and messages don't get mixed, keeps reviews from slipping through the cracks, and wrangles social marketing so you don't disappear for weeks. If you're curious, there's a short discovery session, and it comes with 90 days free to actually see if it makes things easier. No pitch, no pressure, just a real conversation about what's working, what's broken, and what you can simplify. So head over to getsparkforge.ai/hardparking to get started. All right, SparkForge, get it. A special shout out to Drew Bunkley, who was on the show a couple weeks ago. So when I was in Costa Rica this last week, he took my car to the Fountain Hills show in Fountain Hills. So it's the concourse on the hills. And he was able to rendezvous with the rest of the NSXs, which also included Dre Mullins, who was just in studio last week. So special shout out to Drew. You know, I did the thing that I didn't really mean to do. I left him with a car with no gas. He drove all the way from the other side of Phoenix to get here just to find a vehicle that had almost no gas. So he filled it up. I should probably reach out to him and Venmo him some money for gas. That would be the responsible thing to do. I've been home for a few days, haven't done that yet, but maybe I should do it. After 27 years, StopTech has shut down. StopTech makes brakes. For many NSX owners, StopTech is the biggest name in the brake industry. Of course, I was a Futura brakes dealer, but we use StopTech pads. So what happened? There's a lot of rumors online. I went straight here, and it says a major performance brake manufacturer after 27 years following its parent company, First Brands Group. Says right here, the reason of closure, First Brands Group faced over $6 billion in debt in federal fraud indictments against its founders in September of 2025, leading to the collapse. Now, there's YouTube videos, $1 billion scam that killed StopTech brakes, and how to one of the biggest break, all this stuff. I didn't click on it. I don't plan on watching any of it. None of that is really important to me. But that is a major name in the industry. According to Google AI, the market effect, this closure eliminates major budget-friendly high-performance brake option, forcing enthusiasts to seek alternatives like Brembo or AP Racing. Brembo is pretty expensive. Jim Cozzolino, who passed a couple years ago now, but Jim Cozzolino taught me how to take my brakes apart and clean them, like completely apart. Like you take the pistons out of it and clean the piston sleeves. And, he built a race car NSX, and he was really big around here on the NASA AZ circuit, which is like a race circuit. And he told me that most of these brakes are the same. It just comes down to things like warranty. But everybody, regardless if you had StopTech, Brembo, Futura, like I used to sell, if you take your brakes apart and you clean them and service them and put them back together, then one company really isn't much different than the other. Not much different. Now, the rotors could split, crack, but most of that stuff is very similar, if not the same. So for those of you who are that upset about StopTech, sure, it sucks, but guess what? There are other pads out there. There are other brakes out there. Michael Jordan's team wins the Daytona 500. That's a first. He's under some fire because there's a video of him like grabbing at this kid's shorts or shirt at the bottom and shaking it like that. And of course, people took that and ran with it. But apparently what happened is the kid had ice on him, or someone poured ice on him, or he got an overblow from ice from the celebration. And Jordan was shaking the ice out of his shirt. And he was he knows the kid, and he knows the kid's dad, and they've known each other for a long time. So I guess that's no different than me trying to shake ice out of my grandson's shirt. And somebody not knowing that relationship would probably accuse me of being like a pedo or something. Everybody's always looking for something to break that's viral. I'm not interested in that story. And finally, unrelated to cars, Logan Paul now owns the record for selling the most expensive trading card in public history. He sold a Pikachu card for $16.5 million. That's right. Pokemon Pikachu, $16.5 million. I would have guessed it would have been like Michael Jordan's rookie card or something crazy, but the Pokemon trading cards craze is real. I've seen videos of people literally fighting and getting robbed over these damn cards, and it is absolute pandemonium nuts. But there's a lot of money in collectability, and so that's why I have all this stuff in my office that I just let collect dust so that I could pay my bills one day by selling off stuff that everybody else considers is certifiable nerdy junk. All right, so it's time to talk about the One Less Car Show and Food Drive. This is a recap that my One Auto Movement, oneautomovement.com, oneauto_movement group, my team, which is really our team in the community, partners up with Mimi, who you've known. I've talked about her before. She's been on the show a couple of times, goes by Rad or Die Events and Marketing. So we've had this relationship since 2019. Originally, she was part of the One Auto Council, which is kind of a subgroup of people on the One Auto team that help plan events and things like that, curate events. So she's been really big for the brand. On the side, she also started her Rad or Die event marketing. And so it just made sense to partner up with Rad or Die in One Auto. And it's been both of us, without fail, this is our 8th one. And so here we are in 2026. This one was a reschedule from the one we were going to do in 25. She has some health issues. Don't need to get into it. She's doing decent enough now to help plan the show. And major shout out to her because, like I said, I was gone this last week. And she did 95% of all the work. The ELG accident attorneys, that's a relationship thing. And we were lucky to get them the last couple of years. And that's through the relationships I have with the NSX community. And Sergio is him and his group and Galvez partners, they're such a pillar to the community here, especially the Latino community. But they like helping out and things that make sense. And so they've been our title sponsor 2 of the last 3 years. This year they were our title sponsor. And then Kaylee Slaughter, who is a local influencer on a motorcycle of Rev and Connect. She's so awesome. And I had met her in October, the event that we did, the toy drive with ELG. So it's a small circle. And I know that one less, we've been trying to get motorcycles, and they were supposed to show up, I think, last year, the year before, and there was an incident where they couldn't show up. But this year we knew we'd have them, especially in me meeting Kaylee in October. I told her about the event. She said, just keep me posted. And I said, will do. So that was just such a natural connection with ELG and Kaylee. And then Mimi likes to come in and just this, that, to that. And she did a fantastic job. And it was very successful. Our money went from 10,000 we were trying to raise. We hit that goal, and then it bumped to 15,000 kind of at the last minute. We wanted to do 150,000 meals. We got just shy of 100,000. But the good news is the donations are going to be open here for the next few weeks. I think the next few weeks, not to the end of the month, because the end of the month is just next week. But if you're watching this, if you're listening to this, and you'd like to make a donation, it is a gift receipt, of course. I know that doesn't matter to a lot of you, but it does matter to some of you, especially when it comes to filing your taxes. The link is in the description. I have it on my phone, but I don't, unless you want to try to type this out, give dot, the period, right? https://give.unitedfoodbank.org/2026-one less car show / a bunch of numbers and letters. But I think if you just do that, give.unitedfoodbank.org/event /2026-one less car show / it might take you to the page. Otherwise, just follow the link in the description. The link is also in the One Auto Instagram bio, as well as the One Less Car Show bio on Instagram. So with that event being so successful, I want to talk about the importance of partnership and togetherness, because this isn't meant to be preachy, and I know you guys hate it when I am preachy or apolitical or geopolitical, but none of this stuff can happen without the community. And everything, and I've talked about this before, everything we do, every success we have is built so much on relationships. Because otherwise, it's, okay, you're reaching out to me, you want me to be involved. What is it you need from me? What can you do for me? You know, what's the reason here? And sometimes the charity itself isn't enough. And this is one of the struggles. When you attach a charity to an event, you have to, especially a car event, there's going to be certain people who want to be involved because there's a charity involved. There's going to be people who don't give a crap about the charity. They just don't. That doesn't make you bad. That doesn't make you a bad person, but people just don't. Because the car show world is very competitive. And so a lot of people say, all right, well, is there prizes? Is there trophies? And we happen to have first, second, third place for car show. We had best of show car, best in show bike, biggest team donation. You know, we had all those trophies that we typically do, but sometimes people, if you don't have those trophies, or it's not a real car show, so one of the big traveling ones where you have best Lexus, second place, first place, best Lexus, best, all these different categories, people don't care as much about it being associated with charity. They just want to go somewhere and chill and be part of a car show. That's what makes this event so special, is because we have both parts of it. And we're not unique. There's a lot of car events and car shows that wrap a charity, but this is like the big one that we do every year with One Auto, Ride or Die, and the United Food Bank of Arizona. And again, like I said, it's our 8th one. And we struggled through it a little bit at first because we had the parking lot for the first 2 events. Then the parking lot went under construction. So then we didn't have the parking lot for like 3.5, 4 years. And then COVID hit at the beginning of the parking lot construction, so that we had no place to put the cars. And it just became like this super crazy thing to manage. And at that point, it was more about being able to hopefully raise the money, get the car clubs in there, and kind of pivot with whatever the demands of, or the limitations of United Food Bank in the area that we had was. But fortunately, here we are. We just did our 8th one, and it's the biggest thing. But getting the bikes there, this is the first time we've had bikes there, and it's such a big deal. I really wish I can get the East Side riders out here. There's tons of car communities out here, but it's so hard to get them to come to your show. That's what I opened this up with. It's like you have to have almost like an in with that group. I would love to get the lowriders in. I reached out to a local lowrider group, and they liked the post, but for whatever reason, this just wasn't their thing, so they didn't come and show and register for this event. And we were maxed out on cars anyway. We're limited to 100 cars. But I would rather see a backlog of people who wish they would have jumped on the bandwagon early than late. But we still had a very successful show. I was able to meet Will Hernandez. Will Hernandez plays on the offensive line of the Arizona Cardinals, and he was there as part of his partnership with ELG as well. I told you ELG does a lot, and I wanted to record. So I brought all my equipment to set up. DJ Big Red in the house. He was playing with the music, did a great job, but it was just too all over the place. And I had the table set up, but I did not get the microphones out because that was my fallback for this week's episode. It's like, all right, well, let's, like I typically do, let's sit people down with me and I'll ask them about the show and why are they there and who And Will Hernandez being such a VIP guest, we didn't get that opportunity. But he loved the Z, my little Honda Z, took a picture with it. Tried to sit in it, didn't fit. I barely fit in the car, and I'm nowhere near an NFL offensive lineman size or dimension height-wise. But at the end of the show, he gave me his number because it was kind of awkward, right? I'm like, hey, so I would have loved to have had an opportunity to sit down and talk. We didn't make it happen, but let's keep in contact. He's like, yeah, sure, let's keep in contact. We can talk about whatever. And I get that from a lot of people. Everyone wants to talk about whatever, and then it's just so hard to get a hold of people. But now this is the perfect time for him. Football camp hasn't started yet, so hopefully in the next month, I'm able to secure this conversation. But he's like, hey, why don't you take my number down? Because I thought I was just going to have to go through Sergio, which is ELG Sergio. But I got his number. I texted him. I said, hey, all right, you went for the UTEP, University of Texas El Paso. Do you know what the UTEP two-step is? And I didn't think he would because he's a little younger, right? I mean, I'm 50 now. And so he didn't know what it was. He goes, I know some dance stuff, but I don't know about the UTEP two-step. I go, no, it's okay. It's okay. So Tim Hardaway, those of you around my age that know basketball, Tim Hardaway went to University of Texas El Paso, and he's known for the UTEP two-step. That's his crossover move. Tim Hardaway is known for having the killer crossover, the UTEP two-step. So I dropped that knowledge on him. But hopefully, I don't think he's going to forget now because I texted him, hey, Will, it's Jhae. What you know about that UTEP two-step? So I should be able to follow up with him soon and get Will Hernandez on here because ultimately that's what I want to do, right? I want to get people that we connect from cars and then go from there. So we're going to talk about football, maybe his passion for cars and anything that Will Hernandez wants to talk about. The charity that he does, the Mijos charity. He mentioned he's got a big event coming up, and so I will try to secure that for you guys. But it's because of stuff like the One Less, United Food Bank, Food Drive, and Car Show. And why is it called One Less? It's because it's not make one less car show or one less food drive. It's a play on words. It's about hungry statistics. 1 in 5, 1 in 4, and then 1 in 5. And I think now it's 1 in 5 or 1 in 6 people, go hungry, child go hungry, senior citizens go hungry. Let's get together and try to help make one less person go hungry. And so that's why we do it. But it's the togetherness, and it's not the overglorification of I did this or this was my idea. We did this. And this event would never be as successful as it has been if it wasn't all about togetherness, family, and the whole team effort. And that's very cliche to say, but I challenge you to have a successful event. No, anyone can have a successful event. I challenge you to have 8 successful events year after year after year where nobody takes a paycheck. Like no one's getting paid for this. But you're still able to bring everyone together. And that's not me doing it. That's One Auto, which is the company that, I own. But that's One Auto coming together. That's Mimi and her ride or die planning phase coming together. because One Auto could plan this event. We're part of this event, but I don't know if it would be as detailed. I think we can have it be successful. I know we can, but I don't know if we can have it as detailed and thorough as what Mimi's been able to bring the magic to. Like, I would find someone to help carry it forward. But it's a great thing when you're standing up there and you can hand out these gifts. You can hand out these awards, and you can announce how much money everybody has collectively raised. Special shout out to DJ Big Red. You guys know he was in studio here before, and he was the DJ that Mimi found. But he made this stuff for me. Let me show you really quick. These are, I forgot what they're called technically, but this was for his vinyl tops, the DJ tops. They attach to the table with these magnets. But here's one in the print of the first NSX that I had, which is really cool. I made sure he signed it at the top, Andrew Freeling, DJ Big Red. So this is going to go up behind me. And I think you saw the video, but this also, he threw a hard parking one up there. And it's funny because he didn't ask me for these logos. He just went online and found them apparently. But I made him sign these too. It's like, dude, it's a cool gift, but it's only cooler if you sign them because, that's my wall of fame behind me. And so shout out to Big Red for doing that. That was so cool. I didn't pay him for them. That was just kind of a cool surprise that he did. And again, relationships, right? Togetherness. This is how stuff like this happens. So before we wrap this up, I want to talk about my reactions, the reactions I got to my Bad Bunny reactions, and even the last episode that I did with Jhae here in studio. I talked about the Grammys. I opened up about my Bad Bunny reaction. And one thing I would caution people is we make clips, right? Clips are made to go viral. Clips are made to, if done correctly, cause conversation, maybe a little back and forth, maybe a little polarization and opinions. But I don't say anything on this podcast solely for the effect of trying to get clicks. The clips are out there for that, but the clips are excerpts from this podcast. And I think it's a danger that people fall into where you may watch a clip, and sometimes it may be a short clip, and just any clip. I'm not talking about just me, but just any clip of a talking head saying something, and people are going to agree or disagree. But most of the time, it's out of context. You don't know what was said just before that. You don't know what was said just after that. And so I encourage people to go beyond the clips because I try to add most of the time a link to the full episode, whether it's audio or video, which, by the way, as a reminder, the videos now drop on Fridays. The audio still drops on Monday, but I'm thinking about dropping it on Friday. So if you made it this long in the podcast, then please reach out to me and let me know if that's good. And I did that to kind of change things up, see if I can reach a new audience with the podcast, because I believe, based on feedback, that this is a damn good show, a damn good podcast, and just not enough people are seeing it. But as a reminder, this is my show. I do have investors of this show. They can feel free to invest in this show or feel free to cancel your investment if you don't agree with what I say, but make sure it's for rational reasons. I can tell you that I still have a whole table full of bourbon and booze in front of me for my birthday because I was gone for a week, pretty much immediately after the birthday. Had a friend get me some non-alcoholic tequila. He said it was as a joke. And it was, but I could be like, I don't want that on the desk. Who would waste their time drinking that? Like, get out of my house. Or I can be like, that's not something I would ever in a million years buy, but I'm more willing to try it. And who knows, it could taste good. Maybe you don't need the burn of the alcohol to have a good time. That's a really weird example of what I'm trying to say. What is on the desk in front of me isn't something that you like. You can cancel me for it, or we can move on to the next bottle, and that'll just be the one thing you don't agree with. I've had some that say, one day I'm going to come in and sit in front of you, and we're going to talk about some of this stuff. And I respect that. But one thing I'm going to say right now, I'm not willing to give up on my personal relationships for anything that I say on the show. If someone wants to sever their relationship with me, and no one's threatened doing that, by the way. I'm not going to say someone said, like, dude, I'm tired. We're not cool anymore. I haven't lost any relationships that I consider valuable for my opinion on anything, because I try to toe that line on the things that I say and try to offer full context. Now, if you don't agree with it, that's fine. If you are incapable of articulating your opinion and why it's different than mine, that's fine too. But this is what I'm going to say. This is very declarative. I am on record as saying you're not going to win an argument on social media. You're not going to win an argument on Facebook, a debate, none of that. You're never going to convince somebody of how to feel a different way than you feel, or that the way they're feeling is incorrect because you don't feel that way. And what I've said, though, is if you're a personal friend, if you post something I don't agree with fully, I will reach out to you. So, for instance, there's a picture of a red apple sitting on a desk. And the caption might say, only rotten fruit, but it's a perfect apple. So my response might be, the full context is these are the things that they're trying to get rid of out of our diet. And somebody put this apple on this table because this is a perfectly ripe, delicious apple. That's it. That doesn't tell you if I agree with them canceling those fruits and vegetables. But the important context for those people who don't look into that is that's why this picture of this red apple is sitting there. That's the full context of this story. You don't have to agree with what I said, but nothing I said is really worth debating about. And if you don't like it, reach out to me. Or if you would have said something crazy, you as in anybody, I have been known to reach out to people and have side conversations with them via DM. And then 2 years later, I get, hey, so-and-so wants to be your friend. I'm like, oh, you must have unfriended me for some shit. That's crazy. But I don't want to be that person. God, that felt personal, didn't it? Wasn't meant to be. All right. So if you're still miraculously listening or watching this, I'm going to, it's funny with these closings. This isn't even the right closing. That's funny. Here we go. Remember I used to crumble up papers and throw them as if I was reading faxes, as if anybody faxes questions anymore? That was a lot of fun. I haven't done that in a long time. But anyway, if you like what you've heard today or seen today, or if you don't like what you've heard or seen today, feel free to drop a note. Just don't leave me a 1-star review. But if you'd like, go ahead and send me the 4 or 5-star review. I weirdly want 4-star reviews, not 5-star reviews, because the 5th star means there's always room for improvement. But if you thought this was just the best thing on God's green earth, don't cancel me because I said God and you're maybe not, religious like that. But feel free to leave that great review. I want to thank Right Honda, Right Toyota, SparkForge AI from Arcus Foundry, AutoCannon officially licensed Honda and Acura gear. Can't forget my Patreon business supporters, Koya Automotive out of Winter Garden, Florida, Automotive Specialty Tool out of Owings Mills, Maryland. The Lucky Brakes, Sports Brakes out of Caledonia, Michigan. Big House Small Home Design out of Ashburn, Virginia, and Traverse City, Michigan. Last but not least, cannot forget Shaping Success Treasure Valley out of Boise, Idaho. Speaking of shaping success in West Tankersley, watch us on One Drink Wednesday. I haven't talked about that nearly enough. We have a lot of fun. It is not a podcast, but it's on Instagram, and it's literally at One Drink Wednesday. Or you can make sure you're following me, or make sure you're also following West.Tankersley, because we kind of alternate at times which one of us goes live, but it's typically Wednesday at 7 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. Although I did miss last week's because, I was in Costa Rica. If you're interested in helping the podcast upgrade, join the Patreon for as little as $3 a month. I want to thank Mark Stolman, Catherine Cox, Eddie Ramos, Richard Gaze, Byron Jones, Bo Jung, Alex Gamina, Drew Bunkley, and the great Jhae Mullins. info@hardparking.com. No one ever emails me. Kind of weird. Subscribe on YouTube. Follow the Instagram @hardparkingpod. And I will talk to you all next week.
Shut up!